Hello, it's your main man, Darren M. Palmer. I appreciate you for joining the Books and Business Podcast. You could be someone who's listening into this and you're thinking to yourself, hey, with inflation, with taxes, things like that, I got to find another way. Maybe you have been furloughed. Maybe you're looking at something, hey, I've been able to have a buyout, or I'm at retirement, or I'm somebody young, or I'm out of college. I'm not having the life that I desire. Then we want you to reach out to us. We want you to find a way. We're looking for experts. We're looking for people who want to be experts in a particular field to have a profession or a career. Look at joining us. Come join us. Get your license. Join a noble industry that's making an impact and helping securing futures and helping people be protected as far as their finances and go to the next level and live the American dream. This is Darren M. Palmer with the Books and Business Podcast. Reach out to us at Prosperity Partners Agency. We would love to be able to work with you. Darren M. Palmer, Chief Book Officer with Self-Publishing 30 Days. I'm excited for you to be here for another episode of Books and Business. I'm excited to have with us our special guest, the one and only, the filet mignon. Did you see that? Did you hear who I went there with that? The filet mignon, not the bologna, the real one. Never ever a fake, never ever a phony. She is real, Miss Sheena Sapaula. Say hello to the people, Sheena.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here today.
I'm excited to have Sheena here for the Books and Business Podcast. We want to help you go to the next level. So this is why we bring influencers and also industry titans here to be able to show you how to allow for your next move to be your best move. So Sheena, if you don't mind, can you just share a little bit about you and what you do?
Sure. My background's in finance. I came into the industry to specialize in life insurance and retirement planning, mainly because I saw a huge need within the middle class community, which I come from.
Awesome.
Starting with my parents. And then fast forward, I ran into my husband, who we were in business together, which it does work, ladies and gentlemen, it can work. And now we run our agency here in Dallas, Texas. We have offices across the country with about 6,000 licensed agents.
Wow. And by the way, if you don't mind me asking, what is the name of your husband? I think I might
This guy named Matt Sapaula.
Okay, yeah, I think I might have heard that guy.
Money smart guy.
Okay, yeah. Let me write his name down. Okay, Matt Sapaula. Okay.
I think you might know.
I think I might know that guy. I got a book. So, and Sheena, if you don't mind, I want to share for those who are out there on a serious note. The focus of this month will be about saving America through free market enterprise. So, and capitalism. So, could you please share with them what is saving America and free market capitalism? What does that mean to you?
Well, America in general, the foundation of it was built on entrepreneurs.
Yes.
That American spirit. And over, I would say, the last century, you've kind of seen that spirit die away.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to be reminded of where we came from. And so we leveraged this industry to bring that course back, because entrepreneurship is not readily available for you to learn in the school system growing up. And so what ends up happening, you have to learn it from other sources. And the goal would be that we start implementing more entrepreneurs within households. And therefore, that legacy and that generation continues to be instilled, regardless if the opposite is being taught when they go out to society.
So you would say entrepreneurship would be the solution. And the thing is, I know some of the people who are out there right now, and they think like, how in the world am I going to do that? I need to make sure that I'm able to pay my bills. If I do entrepreneurship, I remember my aunt friend, she did entrepreneurship. She lost her car. She lost her shirt. She lost her wig. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about my aunt. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Let me recalibrate. Okay. But with that being said, so many people think about losses. They don't think about the wins. So, Sheena, would it be possible, for those who are looking at benefiting from entrepreneurship, would you say that they could do it part-time? Because we see the issue or the pendulum swinging depending on what page you're on social media, that you got to be all in entrepreneurship, or you got to quit your job, burn the ships, or some people don't want to leave and get out the boat at all. So could you speak to those who are thinking about possibly doing part-time? Is that even a thing? Is that possible?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you think about entrepreneurship, it is to the core of it being solution focused, which for the most part, that's where people really find their peace. And they've been looking for that for a long time. That's their DNA. They're really built on that. So right now you see a large number of our generation really being problem focused, and they don't have the skills to go out there and look for solutions. Let's be honest. We learn our biggest lessons not by things going right. We learn our biggest lessons by things not going right. I mean, biblically speaking, those are all the trial and errors that we go through because we are an imperfect race. So entrepreneurship to the core of us is who we are. And when we're going into a society that teaches us, you have to get a 4.0 GPA, you have to be perfect. And we say this to our kids all the time. I don't care necessarily about the grade as much as I do about the effort. So I want the effort to be there. And therefore the effort, if the effort's there, you will go through trial and error. You won't always win, but man, you will have the biggest lessons in life. So to me, entrepreneurship gets us back to thinking and knowing that failure is a normal part of life. And that's where your biggest lessons are.
Biggest lesson. So for those of you who are thinking about jumping and getting outside the boat, take it part-time. Allow for yourself to know that failure is a part of the process. I think what Sheena's sharing with us too, just to piggyback, is just fail forward. Don't be that person who are regretting, okay? Keep that in mind. Sheena, are there some benefits with entrepreneurship? Would you say, can you talk to us a little bit about taxes? Do you see a benefit when it comes to that?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like if you're in the black sheep of the family, there's always that one that grows up saying,
how do you know about my life, Sheena? Okay, go ahead.
Black sheep always attracts black sheep. It just works out that way. But you literally grow up saying, is there a better way for us to do this? And so the part-time, of course, is always the right way to go because you fully want to tap into something and you want to get familiar with it. You want to find this right fit, whether it be the industry or what your purpose-driven reason is and what value can you add, what skills were you gifted by God that you can apply. So all of that is like a search and a journey. And then when you do find it, you realize that all throughout life, there's these things that you wish you would have known. Now, me personally, I definitely wanted to know more about taxes, where they came from, how they work, how to, of course, pay them the right way, and how to do it in a way that doesn't completely rob you of everything that you've earned.
Oh my gosh.
So these things are not taught readily available, especially for me from grade school up to a top university getting a finance degree. You're not taught this basic. So then I went and sought out this information. I realized that the tax code that we have in this country, either it's going to be used against us or used for us. But right now, if you look at how people look at the tax code, it's such a negative light until they understand how it works and they realize that even in the tax code, it favors the entrepreneur.
Wow.
It's crazy.
You heard it here first on Books and Business Podcast. It favors you if you know what to do. You remember what we shared earlier in the show, in the genesis of it? Let your next step, your next move be your best move. That's what Sheena is sharing with us today. And I found this out by learning some training from you that even with taxes now, that I think after post-World War, I think it was something around, could you share that, after post-World War, then the 70s and the current taxes? Because a lot of us, I know some of you are wondering like, Darren, I didn't know you was a history buff. Yes, I am. But I think this information when it comes to taxes will give you a realization, if you're not in entrepreneurship, how this can actually hinder you moving forward. And that lifestyle on the beach with that mimosa might be hindered by not knowing how to benefit from the taxes. So can you share where we've been in taxes and where we currently are? And also, what's the actual future prediction that we could possibly expect?
Oh, yeah. The History 101 of taxes that people have to brace for impact. And I think really it's going to drive people, because remember, change is done by choice or force. What I see happening with taxes, it's really going to force people to look at entrepreneurship in a different way, because you're going to have to make more income and you're going to have to find a way to use the tax code in your benefit versus against you. So let's do History 101. The highest that taxes have ever been is 94%.
Wow.
Yes.
Did y'all hear that?
94%.
94%.
And of course, this is just on the federal side. We're not even talking about the state side. So this was 2 years prior to the end of World War II. So naturally speaking, of course, as time goes on in the 70s, they brought it down to 70%. which is where the 401k got its name for. Hey, don't put your money in here. I mean, don't take your money and use it right now because you'll be taxed on it. Instead, put it in these defined contribution plans so you don't have to pay taxes now when they're at 70%. Pay them later, hoping that taxes would go down. Let's go back to history. Then in 2018, they dropped it to 37%. That's the highest we pay on the federal side today. But keyword, today.
Today.
Because we have a very big debt issue with this country, $34 trillion and counting. And so what drives that debt? Two of the most underfunded programs was the Social Security and Medicaid, or excuse me, Medicare. Now the real issue is what? Why is it so high right now? Because the largest group of individuals is going into retirement called the baby boomers. Rightfully so, they're coming here to collect, which they've earned that right. But what ends up happening is this bucket called Social Security is going down, and we got to fill it back up. And the only way to fill it back up is to rise in taxes and to think if they will not do it. Just look at history. Historically, we're the lowest we've ever been in taxes. So you can take the chances, but more than likely you're going to raise it up. It's going to happen.
Come on now. Now, I'm not a betting man, but if you are a betting person, depending on where you are, you will think to yourself, okay, there's a great chance that the taxes will go up. How will I be prepared? Because you are able to benefit from that. Now, if I'm not badly mistaken, and you brought up Social Security, so I did a little homework when it came to this. The average age that they expected for the life expectancy was, I believe, 62. But I read in an article recently that even the average woman, I'm just, because Sheena's here, we're going to shout out to the women out there in the world. So the average woman is living to 82. So that shows you the strain that the federal government has by trying to be able to do something that's outdated. Think about it. Our gas pumps actually have audio and video on them. It's not self-serve like it used to be, depending on where you are. So even if that has changed, we're using things like this, like smartphones now instead of pay phones. So can you imagine the stress that's on Social Security right now? And Sheena, can you dive into that, the life expectancy part of Social Security?
Absolutely. When it started in 1935, the numbers were 42 people working for every one person that took out a Social Security. And at that time, the average lifespan was only the age of 62. But get this, you were not allowed to receive your first Social Security payment until you were 65 years of age. So if you were lucky enough to live that long, more than likely you would only receive Social Security payments for an average of 2 years. So back then it worked, but right now it doesn't, because those numbers are completely different. For every 3 people that are working, for every 1 person that takes out a Social Security. Wow. And the average lifespan is no longer at the age of 62. I always tell people, who was the oldest living relative that you have ever known? And you'll see that age start to go up because the average lifespan now is 80 and beyond. Don't get me started with the women, because in the next 6 years, $34 trillion will be inherited by women. Why? Because their spouse or someone that they live with has passed away, and they will receive that inheritance. And it's a large amount because women are living longer now. So now you have this dynamic of, wait, now people are needing Social Security for a lot longer. It's probably now going to be the number one thing that baby boomers depend on as a consistent income over their lifespan. So average of 23 years, people are going to need Social Security. Hence, this is why we have debt.
Wow. That's why we need debt. And then also, when we're thinking about this, I want to bring this up for even the baby boomers out there, because I was a part of a panel, Sheena, and some of the concerns where people are retiring, their quote unquote, and then they're seeing them 6 months to a year back at work, or they're at one of your favorite places to go shop, and they're waving as a greeter, even though they don't want to do that. And this is just the hard facts. And just to see some of the people that were on that panel and some of the things that they were going through, saying, I didn't know that I was going to be here. I didn't realize that I wasn't going to have. And some of them have found situations, Sheena, where they thought that they were going to have more Social Security, and then only to find out that it was cut. So can you speak a little bit about that, if you don't mind, about those? Yes. I don't know the actual terms, but maybe you could share with our audience.
Absolutely. It's going back to the 3-legged stool of retirement, which is traditionally what people depended on. One of them was pensions. The second leg of that stool was Social Security. And then, of course, the third is personal savings. The key thing, though, 2 out of 3 of those were lifetime income sources. Well, then let's look at where those legs are right now. You have Social Security, which we just discussed.
Yes.
It's going to become insolvent. There's an issue there. So the reliability of that is no longer as stable as it used to be, or you might not receive what you think you're going to receive for the life of receiving it. Number 2, okay, let's talk about pensions. They're like unicorns today. Where did they go? So if you go back to the 70s, you'll notice that the average person who received a pension started to go down. These are called defined benefit plans. Your
Okay.
benefit in retirement was predetermined, meaning you didn't have to worry about receiving a paycheck in retirement. You never had to worry about that. But then when people started to live too long, they're like, oh, this is an expensive retirement tool. I got to get rid of this. And I got to come up with something else, which was the defined contribution plan. That was your 401k, your 403b, your 457 deferred comp, your TSP. The only missing piece to that, there is no defined benefit there. Meaning the minute you get to retirement and you access these funds, you are responsible for making sure that this lasts forever, which if you can see the numbers right now, it's not working out well. So this is why people end up relying on Social Security as their number one source of income. So I tell retirees all the time, don't think about the first 5 to 10 years of retirement. You got to start thinking about your 15th year, your 20th year, because this is where the hard part kicks in. Your money's starting to run out. Taxes are, of course, going up. Then you have the Social Security that's not working out the way that it used to. Don't even get me started with provisional income. And then on top of that, you have the biggest expense that people don't think about, which is long-term care, because that comes with people living longer. So boom, it creates this tsunami domino effect. And if you think it's just going to affect the baby boomers, unfortunately, those baby boomers have family members. It's going to trickle down.
And the trickle down effect. So I know, and I'm glad that you led that, and I appreciate the information that you gave us, a wealth of knowledge that you just shared with us. But the trickle down, because there's some out there. I feel it in my spirit, Sheena. I feel it in my spirit. Come on now. As the old preacher would say, I feel my help coming. Okay. All right. With that being said, let's think about, for those, whether you are Gen Z or you're millennials or X, whatever it may be, you might think this doesn't have anything to do with you, but it does, with the trickle down effect. And so you got to keep in mind, so whether it's you looking after your parents, that we got parents that are aging, if it's you looking at lifestyle, far as what's going on in our country. Unfortunately, some of us, Gen Z, if we don't address this immediately, then you will be actually dealing with the brunt of this yourself. So we got to make sure that we're thinking about and focused on how we're able to leverage the skills, how we're able to grow and build more resources, how we're able to positively impact our community. Also, bringing about a way for people to have control. A wise man, last name starts, Matt Sapaula shared this with me. He said the person that controls their income basically are able to control their future. So when you understand the importance of entrepreneurship, we got to understand this is not like a convenience store where you're just grabbing a snack anymore. When we look at Social Security, when we see the tax benefits and the breaks that you're able to get, allowing for you to have leverage because you have more resources to benefit, more investments to make. Let's look at those that are around you who are other business owners or other entities that can benefit by you having access to more resources. Typically, those who are watching this podcast, you are great people. You want to make a positive change. So those resources in your hand will benefit you. But also, we have a great country that we live in called America. I know we got issues just like any family. We all have issues, but we still have a great family if we focus on the good things. But I want to just speak to you right now, because what I'm hearing from Sheena is that we have to leverage entrepreneurship. This is not, oh, it's a cool thing, it's a fad. I mean, you adding, whether it's 500 or 1,500 or 2,500, that could be a better daycare, that could be a better assisted living, that could be things like living benefits and things like that with policies that you could benefit from. And I want to share, because you brought up some of the healthcare things and concerns, but working and learning from you too as well, I heard about a thing called living benefits. And I'm just going to use an example of this real quick before Sheena go into it. Me and Sheena both have a dealership. You got the same make and model that you and your significant other want to purchase for your family. One dealership, say for instance, my dealership, I tell you the amount, and then Sheena tell you her amount. It's the same amount. But Sheena's dealership will tell you, okay, for the next 36 months, I'm going to give you brand new tires if you need it. I'm going to give you air freshener. I'm going to give you free oil changes. And oh, by the way, if you need anything else, just reach out to us. We're here to help with your windshield as well. And you come back to me, you say, hey, Darren, I went to Sheena's dealership. She shared all the fringe benefits that she's going to give to me. What can you do or whatnot before we make our decision? And then I say to you, I'm sorry, just like a person who doesn't have their cigarettes, they can't find them or find their lighter, I'm fresh out. I know that you are some wise people and smart people who are watching this podcast. I know, put that in the notes or put that in the chat too as well when you're listening to this. Which dealership would you go with? So that is what living benefits is, for as those who are having policies who are aware that they can leverage their policies while they are alive. That is a hack. Yes, on Books and Business, we're talking about that. It's so many people that I'm connecting with who have never heard of living benefits. I thought the same thing myself when I was sitting at church when my grandma saw the insurance man coming around. I didn't understand it. But can you share a little bit about the leverage for business owners and leaders who are watching this and families who haven't even heard of living benefits?
Oh, it's such a dilemma right now, especially with a big portion of our communities. Wow. So if you look at traditional life insurance, which is what I love about this industry, everybody already knows that word, and predominantly people eventually do get it. But the reason for which they get it needs to be evolved. It needs to be upgraded. So traditionally people would get it because burial was that big expense that was around the corner that people would dread. And so they would get life insurance predominantly for the burial side of it. But what they don't think about is the other aspects of human life that have now become the biggest dilemmas for us today, which is the fact that we're living longer. Health is now an interesting thing that comes up. Even when people are young, you'll see heart attack, stroke, cancer happening in individuals that are younger than you ever saw possible. Yeah. And then don't even get me started with long-term care, because at one point or the other, too much of us are going to experience it. And that's because we're living longer. I remember sitting down with a client. She was 91 years old. He was 85. They were still functioning. Their number one expense is long-term care, $96,000 a year. You know what their second expense is? Taxes, because a lot of their retirement funds are tax deferred. So here you have this dilemma that people are facing. Now, the good news is people do get life insurance for the good reasons. I'm not saying anything wrong with what they currently have. I just want them to look at life insurance more than just one singular thing. So you have that policy that takes care of the burial, for example, but you also need that policy that takes care of you just in case you get ill. Yeah. So I call it the old life insurance or the new one, right? The old one only pays out when you pass away. The new one has now accommodated for us living longer, and especially with where we see the decline in health happening with a lot of people. So if you ever have heart attack, stroke, cancer, long-term care, you have the ability to use that death benefit as tax-free cash while you're alive. And that single-handedly makes a huge difference for a lot of people financially.
Did you say using it tax-free while you're alive?
Gotta love that word, tax-free, right?
I'm about to say, it's three words. I want y'all to put this in the chat. Which one would you prefer? Tax now, tax later, or tax-free? Ding, 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 ding. I'm going with tax-free. And I know some of you think like, oh, is this, and it's actually legal, tax-free.
It's that tax code, you're using it in your favor.
see, there you go. There you go. And before we get out, I want to speak to, because I have a senior who's going to be graduating this year, whatnot, in May at the time of the recording of this. And this is something that is unfortunate for a lot of parents, just like it is for the seniors or the baby boomers or those who are looking at retirement. We're finding that people are leveraging things that they think that are going to be beneficial when it comes to their child going to college, only to find out, just like what it was with Social Security, that their stuff is being cut in half. What do you mean by that, Darren? There are some instruments that people are putting funds in, preparing for their kids to go to college, only to find out that they don't have enough saved to be able to pay for the full tuition and everything that's needed. So they need help with FAFSA, whatnot, to help assist. But the same funds and the instruments that they put it in are actually counting against them. So long story short is basically, if you're not below the poverty line, you might want to pay attention to what we're going to talk about right now. And so there are vehicles that you can put in insurance, life insurance, that will allow for you to be able to have access and pull those funds to be able to leverage that for your child, whether it's for college, a vehicle, or anything else beside it being designated for a particular institution. So can you share a little bit about the possibility of IULs or anything like that besides other vehicles that people have been using that's counting against them when it comes to their child going to college?
Of course, they call them permanent plans. And I think the biggest part about it is their cash is built inside life insurance policies that can be accessed tax-free. The answer is yes. Okay. And I think the foundation, though, is that it still comes with a death benefit. Now, this is something I preach so much, is that literally once a child is born, this is when the parent needs to make that decision to get them proper life insurance. Because at the end of the day, to get approved, it's still based off health. So before kids actually grow up, and we all see what's going on with kids under the age of 18 with these very interesting diagnoses that are more now than ever before, it's so important to get them that coverage early on. But for especially our communities to look at having a death benefit not as a cost, but as an asset, the most valuable asset that can change someone's last name. So if you look at it like this, it's through my life, how much death benefit can I acquire? How much can I acquire? And that single-handedly, we can go into trust and how to build it like the Rockefellers do. But yes, the death benefit is probably the thing that I want to emphasize the most, that it's an asset, not a cost. And you want to get as much as you can throughout your entire life. Number two, while you are acquiring that death benefit, it allows you to actually acquire cash value inside these policies that can be accessed tax-free and used for whatever you want to use it for. So again, it goes back to that saying of, no, life insurance can be used both while, of course, you pass away, but also while you're alive. And what's nice is that these kids can use it for college funding, whether they go to college or not. There's no requirements on what you use these funds for. Number two, let's just say that college is now, because remember, it's always in the mindset of stop thinking short-term, think long-term.
That's it.
I'm going to use the funds for college. That prevents me from getting into student loan debt, from getting into debt that I'll never pay off. Number two, then I can use it as my retirement vehicle so that later down the road, I actually can create a tax-free retirement versus a tax-deferred retirement. Or I can use these funds to purchase a home without necessarily having to go acquire debt to do so. So it's a tool that people are underestimating simply because there's not enough people within each household that hold this license that's constantly giving this education out.
Wow. I'm telling you, did y'all think I was playing when I said a wealth of knowledge? So thank you, Sheena. I really appreciate that. For those who are out there, please, if you want more information about this, don't hesitate. Reach out to us, DM us, or send us a private message. Email us, whatever way that works best for you. Contact us because we want to make sure that we allow for your next move to be your best move. So, Sheena, thank you so much. I appreciate you for coming on. We will have in the show notes ways that you can get in contact with Ms. Sheena Sapaula to be able to find out more information too as well. Our staff and our team will love to be able to serve you too if you need some follow-up things addressed or whatnot from this particular podcast. So this is the end of Books and Business Podcast for now. I want you to understand this. Remember, no matter what you do, most people acquiesce to known hells, forfeiting unknown heavens. Don't allow that to be you. Don't allow comfort to keep you from the higher version that God called you to be. Until next time, be blessed and be great. Hey, it's your main man, Darren M. Palmer. Hey, I want to reach out to you. For those business owners out there, would you benefit by being able to have the money that you are making, the hard-earned dollars that you made, to have them in tax-free vehicles? Would you want to grow your money and have a better rate than you will have in a savings account that you got at your local bank that's less than 1%? If you want to know more about being your own bank and how to be able to leverage these vehicles, reach out to us today. We would love to be able to connect with you at prosperitypartnersagency@gmail.com, or you can reach out at 281-630-2730 to me personally, because I want to help you have clarity and how to be able to have clarity of vision, which will allow for you, your family, and your business and your community to be able to accomplish your known goal. Until next time, be blessed and be great.